Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. Well, hello and welcome to the next episode of the 66 GT6 restorations on the Rusty Beauties channel. And we're going to continue with the door in this video. Like you know, in the last video we made the patches for the front and the back of the door. And now it is about time to start with the center part, which I said in the last video it was going to be pretty straightforward, but I don't think I took in consideration this waviness of the skin. So it's going to be a challenge, but we love challenges, right? So let's get crack-a-lacking. Alright, so I just read the comments from the previous video. It's been 8 hours since the last video was published, and I read the comments, and there were multiple people who said that I overcomplicated the door repair by making those complicated patches, and somebody suggested, why didn't I just buy a new skin? Well, you know, for me, that's my opinion, a new panel is an option only if I can't repair my old one, for the simple reason that the new panels, even if they are heritage panels, there's no guarantee that they will fit properly, because these cars, they were never perfectly standardized from the factory. It wasn't like you just take a door from one car and put it on the other and it fits perfectly. Also, this particular car and many other cars at this age, they've been modified so badly that definitely when you get a new panel, you need to modify it to make it fit. So that's one reason why I didn't buy new skin. And second, because there's so much labor involved in changing a skin of a door that it's incredible. This is so much easier to just repair the bottom. To change the skin, you have to take the entire door apart, and as you're putting it back in, it's gonna twist for sure if you don't invest a lot of time in it, making sure that it is straight. So this, to make this and to make this, wasn't that complicated. I don't know why you guys think that this is complicated, but if you have the shrinker and stretcher, this, to make this, is pretty straightforward. For me, the shrinker stretcher work is super simple, and it's easy to make something like this. Also, there were different techniques suggested where you use one piece of metal for the entire bottom, so you don't need to make welds like I did here, and then enfold the straight parts of the flange on a brake, but for the curves you just make cuts here and bend them one by one. I don't think that's a good option for me. I would never be able to make nice and smooth rounded edge if I bend a little piece at a time. I know for myself that I can't do that. If someone can do it, well, good for them. I can't. So anyways, I don't think that my way is way too complicated. There's still no guarantee that when I bend this flange later, the shape is gonna remain nice and smooth as it is. I might end up grinding here if the gap becomes smaller, and then I will still have to weld. I might end up extending it if the gap becomes too small, with, again, to extend it the only way is with welding a little bit on it. So I might end up doing all these things, but I want to try and do it without. At least I will try. So now what I want to do is I want to position this where it needs to be, weld here and weld here so it doesn't move anymore, and cut this off, remove the metal from behind and just tuck it in place, again aligning it with the straight edge, making sure that it is exactly where I want it. Then we're gonna do the same with the front one, and then we can make the middle section as it is on the car, and go from there. I'm just gonna shorten this. I don't want this part. I'm gonna shorten it, and then we're gonna start welding. There you go. Okay, here I just marked it. I'm gonna cut it like this so I can weld this in at once, and then we're gonna do the rest. We're gonna do, you know, the same way. So you see here, I can weld it like this, I can weld it like this, I can weld it in different heights. So I'm hoping that by pushing it here, I'm gonna push it with this. I'm hoping that by pushing it like this, I'm gonna put it in the right position, and I'm gonna be able to weld it where it's supposed to be. Alright, I think that's not too bad as a beginning. Let's make the middle piece and see where that's gonna take us. Okay, so here's our piece that I made for here. And now we're gonna have to start shaping it. So it's gonna need a flange at the bottom to go under here, right? And it's gonna need a jogo, I think it's called jogo, at the top to go under this, like this. And it's gonna give it support because this is really wonky. But before we do the flange or the jogo, we're gonna have to give it a little bit of a shape to match this shape, let's say. It needs to lay nicely on top of this. So we're gonna try to do this here on the brakes and then planish the lines on the planishing hammer. Not sure if it's gonna work, but we can try. So let's see if we can get rid of the lines now. If we can't, we're screwed. Okay, I think that's a nice curve. You can see the lines, but you can't feel them. And the curve is pretty much what we want. My brake doesn't bend nice though, I have to adjust it. One side go away. One side is more curved than the other, so I had to flip it back and forth until I figure it out. So now we can make a jogo at the top and a flange at the bottom. Now for the jogo, it would be great if we had a bead roller, but we don't even have the gun to do it manually. I guess we're just gonna have to make it on the brake. I don't know how well it is gonna work, but if it doesn't work well, we can always flatten it on the planishing hammer and do it again. I think it became shallower on this side and deeper on this side. But let's see how deep. Here it is obviously too shallow. And this side, the deeper side, is still not deep enough. Well, maybe. So we need to be the same as the deep side. So I'm gonna flatten it completely here on the planishing hammer, and we're gonna do it again. So this time the joggle is pretty good, and I shortened also the piece so it can fit inside. Thing is, I need to hold it there so I can mark where the flange goes, and it's tricky. I need more hands for that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it outside. I'm gonna light up the outer metal where it's gonna be, and I'm gonna mark where the bend needs to be in this case. And then I'm gonna do the same with the other side. Wow, this side is shorter. How come? So that's 3 and 11/16. Yeah, 3 and 11/16. This is 3 and 7/16. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna bend 3/8 as a flange here. Then we're gonna put it there, and we're gonna mark, and we're gonna shave this up a little bit to match this flange. It's easier if I have the flange first. Okay. And now I can mark where I want my piece to be cut. So I want it to finish there, and on this side I want it to finish here. Now I can take my straight edge and clamp it there, or clamp it here. I think we are ready to take it off and put it on the bench. Stay out of my shot, please. On a second thought though, I don't like this piece. Like, I don't like it at all. You see, it is pretty straight. It used to have the shape. Before, when I made it, I gave it the curved shape like that, but now it became straight. Somehow the welds pulled it. So I don't like it. I'm gonna take it out. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so now that I took it off, it took this curved shape again. A little bit, not much, but so I guess the welds pulled it and made it straight. So I'm gonna curve it a little bit more now, and we'll try. So I rebent it a little bit and I welded it back, and now I like the shape a lot. So it matches perfectly with our new piece here. The other side also is pretty good. Like here where we welded it, it pulled in a little bit. So that's gonna give me troubles, I guess. I shouldn't have welded it inside. We'll see if we can cut that and pull it out a little bit. But other than that, it matches pretty well. And now, if we take the straight edge and we put it like this, we have our inner piece is exactly where we want it, see? And this means that we have to push the skin, the old skin, we have to push and match it with our new piece, which makes sense because the joggle there is what keeps it rigid and it doesn't let it bend. So we know that this is pretty much a straight line, and we need to match this piece with our joggle inside. So I think in this situation we can actually take it out and do it on the bench, because we can weld these two together and these two together, and that's gonna give us the straight line that we want. And then we're gonna push this down and weld it. So I'm gonna take it out now, like this. I'm gonna paint the flange where we shaved it a little bit. I'm gonna have to paint it from inside too. I'm gonna paint the back of this piece, and I'm gonna go have dinner. and maybe after dinner we can come back and weld it in place. All right, so we had a delicious dinner and we are back here. This is dry now. The flange underneath is, everything underneath is painted too. And now before we start welding this, we said we want to cut this weld from here and try and pull this out, because here we have a dent right now. Okay, that's more or less where we want it. Now let's see this part here. I guess we can tack it here and the other side and then start with this. For here, I made myself a tool to pull it out and tack it. Okay, it's not too bad. So now I have to start pushing this down. But you know what? I'm gonna put some clicos to make sure that everything is straight, and then we're gonna start welding it. I can use the same hose here in some areas. Okay, so we're ready to start stacking it. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be checking it like this to see if they line up. Like here, I can feel that here the old skin is higher than the new one, but here where the clico is, I can feel that this one is higher. So I'm gonna tack it only where I can feel that they are lining up, and then we're gonna remove the clicos so it can come out again, because here obviously it is deeper. Actually there's burr here. I cleaned the burr on the inside but never cleaned it on the outside. Of course there's pros and cons about this joggle weld. One of the main cons is that it overlaps two layers of metal, and that's an opportunity for the moisture to collect there. But you know what? There's so many areas of these cars that have overlapped metal. So what we're gonna do is, after we are done from inside, we're gonna seam seal it. So hopefully moisture is not gonna collect there. We'll see in 50 years. Next time when we restore it, in 50 years, we're gonna see if this held or not. So I welded it in full here, and here and here and here. And now, before I weld it completely here, I'm gonna flip it around and I'm gonna try to bend the flange and see how that works for me, because that's always trouble for me. But so far so good. Of course there are some pinholes that I still have to weld here and here and here and everywhere, but as a shape I'm really happy. Now every time I do this procedure I end up putting dents here just above the flange, and I think that's because normally I use a dolly like this and I just hold it. Of course the door is upside down. I hold it like this and I try to bend the flange, but I think because it's curved I end up putting dents there. So I think this time that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use this as a dolly. I don't know which one is heavier, but what I've learned from somebody in Bulgaria a long time ago, many years ago, he told me that always when you hammer and dolly something, your dolly needs to be heavier than your hammer, because if you have a light dolly and a heavy hammer, you're not doing anything. I think this is heavier than my hammer, but I'm not really sure. It's a, what is it, like a 3/16 piece of metal. Here on the curve, we're gonna have to shorten the flange at some point, but we're gonna start with the big flange and then we're gonna shorten. We don't need to shrink a ton of material this way. All right. I think there are no dents. I think. But let's check. There you go. Nice and smooth this time. No dents. Perfect. And I think it kept the shape pretty well. So I'm happy. I'm really happy. So you see the shape is still as we made it. And there are absolutely no dents. So now what's left is to weld it without warping it. Can we do that? I'm pretty sure we can. Okay, as usual, not seamless, and as usual, it warped on me here and there, but in general, I like it. It's pretty much okay. So from here to here, it is perfect. I mean, the top skin, the old skin here is a little bit warped here and there, but we're gonna take care of that with the dent puller, shrinker, or spot puller, or I don't know what it is called. Spotter, I'll call it spotter. So we're gonna take care of that with the spotter when it comes back. Still not back. And we have two bigger issues here. One is here, this is very low, and the other one is here. That again is very low, so this needs to be pulled out. I don't think it's a big deal. We're gonna be able to pull it out with the spotter. And this part of the seam sunk. I don't know why. I tried not to overheat it, but obviously I did slow. But again, I believe that we can pull it out with the spotter. So this is where we're gonna leave it for now. I'm not gonna touch it anymore. We're gonna finish it when we have the equipment back. So now what's left is to flip it around, weld here, here, maybe a little bit in the corners here, and grind it, and that's it. We're gonna be done with the skin of this door. Okay, so it's not too bad, but I'm not really happy with it too, because it looks like my gaps now became a little bit too big. So you see here, up to here, the gap is nice and small, and from here, exactly from where I started my patch, it becomes bigger and goes all over the place, a little bit too big. Like, it's not too big, but it's bigger than what I intended. So looks like after I folded it, I lost one thickness of the sheet metal. You know what I mean? So for the other side, I'm gonna have to make my patches so the gap becomes a little bit smaller than what I want it to be. So after I fold it, it's gonna become as big as I want it to be. And I'm afraid that I'm gonna have to add a little bit of weld here to the edge of the door to make it even, because I don't like it. But in general, I don't think our repair is too bad. I think it's pretty good. Another thing here is, I know that from the beginning, that this door sticks a little bit too far out here. And believe me, it's not that the door needs to go further in. It can't go further in. It is the B-post that, I guess from the factory, it never matched. So I'm gonna try to adjust this at some point. Not today, but at some point. I'm gonna make a cut here. And I'm gonna open this a little bit because it's too flat. I don't like how flat it is. Who knows, maybe I'm gonna find fiberglass here. No, I think it's from the factory. It's metal. Look how clean the metal is here. Anyways, that's another project. Anyways, you know that there's a little bit more repair that needs to be done on the inside of the door here. And you know that we still have to weld the seal in. We have to put the cap on. So we're not done with this side, but at least on the outside, it looks great. So I might even put the wheel on so I can take a picture, because that was the thing. We said that soon we're gonna be able to take a picture of a complete site, rust-free outside at least. So anyways, I think that's gonna be the end of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for commenting and subscribing. Thanks for supporting the channel financially. It's highly appreciated. If you're looking for details how you can do that, follow the links in the description. There's links to my Patreon page and everything that you might need. But that's not needed in order to have access to all the videos, because supporting the channel financially doesn't buy you anything. It's only a way to say thank you. If you don't want to do that, or if you don't feel like it, or if you can't afford it, still I really appreciate that you're being here, watching my videos, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and all that good stuff. So thanks for everything, guys. Bye.